Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, here today to break down some fights. We got a decent card for you guys, 11 fight slate, and I'm joined as always, well not as always anymore, but luckily joined by Phoenix MMA, here to break down some fights. How are you doing, my friend?
Do good, man. Thanks for having me on again. I think it's actually a really sneaky card. I think it's going to be a lot of good fights, a lot of entertaining fights, and excited to break it down with you.
Now, I don't know if anybody watched last week's episode, but if you did, you would have realized that I'm just very happy to be able to be live right now because I went like a minute of like technical difficulties last time. So hopefully it all goes good. If you guys have any audio or visual concern, just throw it in the chat. I'll try to fix it for you. But no, we're going to do this thing. We're going to fly. We're going to do it in a different order. And I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but my team's playing tonight. I know Crosby's not, so I'll wear the jersey for him. So we're doing a nice little midday stream. Live streams are over, but what we're going to do is we're going to go from main event down because Phoenix and I, mostly Phoenix, is a busy guy. So we're going to go to the important fights first. We'll make our way down the card from there. So I say we don't waste much time. If you guys want to know my full DraftKings breakdown, I'll try to give you a brief look into it for now. But if you want to know a full breakdown after the video, check out my DFS video on this channel. I also have a best bets video. I'll tweet that off. But for right now, let's focus on breaking down this card, our predictions, how we're liking. I see a couple spots I like. I got a couple plays that I really like, and we'll get to them eventually. But first things first, we have ourselves a main event. We have ourselves an X-title challenger in Jan Blachowicz, 28-9. Actually, X-title holder versus Alexander Rakic, 14-2. Now, you look at that, you got Rakic, who got some knockouts to his name. He got that head kick over Jimmy Lanois, which was beautiful. And you got the Polish power in Blachowicz, who is the reigning champ. Everyone's going to be thinking, if they look on paper, this is going to be violent. This is going to be fun. I'm not looking forward to this that much. Like, it doesn't pique my interest too much because I know it's going to be probably a slow, methodical striking affair, just like Rakic's last few fights have been. I know that there's always a chance for that knockout when the Polish power is fighting, but I need you to spark some interest in me in this one because I got nothing yet. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's probably not going to be the best main event in the world. I do have a couple plays on it. But just getting into the matchup, like Rakic is definitely a boring fighter to many. Like he kind of just does enough to get it done. But I like him. I like his skill set. I think he's. I mean, that's kind of how I would fight if I was in the UFC too. I wouldn't want to take too much damage, honestly. But yeah, he's good. He's got really nice kicks, very good distance management, good pressure, long jabs, things like that. I just think the line is really wide here. Like I get it. I get it. He's 30 years old, in his prime, only getting better. Yan is 39 now. Probably could show signs of regressing. I mean, he looked pretty bad in the Glover fight. Just didn't look good on the mat at all. But I don't really think there's going to be too much grappling in this fight personally. I mean, you can say that Rakic's top control is solid, and it is. He's a very heavy guy. He's a big guy. He's very heavy on top, but he doesn't proactively wrestle. Even if you watch like the Smith fight, like none of like he was on top every round, but he never really initiated any of the takedowns. Like it was more so, Smith trying to get him down or Smith closing the distance and Rakic kind of shoving him off and getting on top. So I think this is going to be, like you said, a slow-paced, methodical striking fight, and I think it's going to play out close. I don't really see the evidence to suggest that Rakic is going to cover minus 190 here if he doesn't knock him out. Um, it's just like you look at Rakic, and you know he dropped the third round to Santos. He could have arguably lost one of the first two rounds. Like they were close rounds. In the Vulcan fight, I mean, all those rounds were close as well. Lost the third round there too, and I think the 5 round dynamic is interesting because, like I just said, Rakic in 2 of his last 3 fights has gone out there and lost the third round. So how's he going to look in the championship rounds against a guy who's been in the championship rounds? And when I look at Yan, like Yan just beat Izzy striking in 2 of those 3 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards. Like besides the last 2, like I thought he won 2 of those rounds too personally. Like his striking is very underrated. He's very good inside, good hook shots, good left hook, good jab too. So I just think it's going to be close. I think the numbers are going to be close. I think it's going to be a close fight. I personally have a play on the over 4.5 at plus 110. I think the only reason that's a plus number is because of the fact that they're 2 big guys, light heavyweights in the small cage. But if you look at the style dynamic of the fight, like I think a lot of people are seeing that it probably goes over. I mean, I think both guys are going to respect each other's power. Rakic doesn't want to rush anything. Even if Rakic does get on top, I doubt he's going for the finish. He's not going to finish him like Glover did. So unless, there's a perfect clean shot, which there could be, they're big guys. Um, I think this fight goes to the decision at a pretty decent clip, and the fact you're getting plus money on it is pretty solid. But I'm probably also going to be on Yan as well. I'm just waiting on the line to see if it gets wider. I just honestly I cannot see the fight not playing out close. Like, if you're telling me that Rakic is not convincingly winning 3 rounds against the nowadays Thiago Santos, he's taken 5 rounds when he's lost two third rounds in his last three fights against a guy who's been 5 rounds against a guy who can compete with one of the best strikers. I understand Izzy was up a weight class, but I mean his striking, he's a long guy. I mean, he's kind of, I don't think the striking was, influenced by him moving up. So I think Yan is going to make it a competitive fight. Unless Yan is washed, unless the neck injury is going to halt Yan in this fight, I just don't think Rakic covers, especially if it goes over. So I think it's going to be like a 48-47 type fight, depending on who's judging. I'm willing to take a shot at plus 170 on the X champ.
Hey, Jan got his lucky rope now, so you never know. And you know what? I mean, we went right into this because we were on kind of a time crunch, but we skipped over the Rose and the events last week and that co-main event knockout. But I do think that when I do say this is going to be a slow pace fight, I don't mean a Rose and a Spars, a slow pace fight. I think it's still going to be entertaining and like really interesting to the avid fan who likes to watch the technical affair. The problem I have is you mentioned it exactly is um, they're slower paced, and I don't think either of them are really going to engage in the grappling, so it's going to play it at range. And I know you're a better first, but as a DraftKings player, it doesn't excite me at all. Every time I see a fight, I look for DraftKings opportunities, and this just doesn't scream it. Despite having 5 rounds, um, is Rakic going to finish? Probably not. He's going to stay at range. He's going to land points. Of course, he's going to land points because he's a decent cash option. But when you look at the people around him, he's not going to go out there and put out hundreds and hundreds of volume. He's not going to reach any takedown upside, no control time upside, really. He's not that appealing. So I think he's a dogger pass here. I think Blachowicz should definitely be live in some lineups. I'll probably have him some live as well because he does have more finishing upside, in my opinion. Um, and it's just the line is so wide on DraftKings. But no bet for me. I think I'm just gonna sit back. A complete pass on the betting front because despite me thinking it was a decision, it's Polish power. I've gotten him wrong a few times, so we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to dwell too much on this one. I think it's a interesting stylistic matchup, but not one that brings me to the edge of my seat waiting. I think it's like where I'm oohing and awing at things that are happening, but I'm not really just completely invested in the action. So I say move on. Next fight of the night, we got a co-main event that I'm a lot more interested in, probably just because I'm a DraftKings addict. I need that violence. That's the fights that score very, very well. And speaking of guys who score very, very well, Ian Cutelaba, 16-6-1. Ryan Spann, 19-7. Ian Cutelaba, the Hulk. I've not seen the weigh-ins. I was out, so I don't think he came out as the Hulk. I probably would have seen it on Twitter, but no, he didn't. Oh, too bad. That man's a very entertaining fighter. Lots of power, but he's shown to be able to be composed, to have that wrestling in his back pocket, to not only hunt to finish, but also be able to keep himself relaxed because he did seem to gas out in some earlier fights. So getting a new, improved version of Cutelaba who looks like he wants to win, but he's going up against a beast. Ryan Spann is a big, big guy for the division, but I'm not too high on his skill set. I bet Anthony Smith against him, and Smith disposed him quickly. Spann just doesn't like to be hit that much, and that's a huge problem when you're facing a guy like Cutelaba because Cutelaba has power, but if he's not able to get to the inside, he's not able to land anything on Spann. He's going to have that takedown upside. He's going to have that control time upside. Cutelaba is my favorite DraftKings play. Am I going to play the money line? No, it is wide. I know Spann is dangerous. I know Spann is big. But DraftKings wise, I want Ian Cutelaba all day. What about yourself? What are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I agree. I was considering playing Span if it got wide enough, but it's tough because the more that I think about the matchup, like I just feel like Kutalaba is going to have the edge in every department. I think he's more liable to get the takedowns. He's more liable to knock him out. I mean, Span's durability is a big question mark. Span's takedown defense is a big question mark. I mean, he gets taken down by takedowns that Kutalaba lands all day. I think it's going to be a violent fight. It's not one that I have any action on. I just think all the lines are a bit wide. But Span is going to have a big physicality advantage here. I feel like Span, if he comes in and performs at the top of his game, is definitely more live than the line suggests because Kutalaba, you know, if he doesn't get like a first round knockout, I don't think he covers the price. I just don't think he has the gas to do that. And that's not to say that Span, has a great gas take himself, but I feel like if they're both tired, then I mean I don't want Kutalaba minus 225. But I do think early he's going to be very dangerous here. I think, he's going to put the pressure on Span. He could probably land takedowns whenever he wants. He's got vicious ground and pound, big elbows, good top control. And, he's getting better. I think I've seen the improvements in his game. I like him personally. I think he's got a lot of good things to him. He's still young as well. Um, but yeah, there's a big physicality difference here. I mean, Span's 4 inches taller, like 4 or 5 inches of reach. Um, I do think Span, he hits hard. He's got submissions too. I mean, he looks like a knockout guy, but he's got what 11 submissions on his record. He locks up chokes quick. He could get a sub here if they're like against the cage and he finds the neck, kind of like what he did to Clark. And he's powerful, so he's always live to knock out Kutalaba. So yeah, I think you covered it mostly. I think it's going to be a violent fight. I think it finishes inside the distance, and I'm going to take Kutalaba to finish Span within the first 2 rounds.
Awesome. I love that. 'Cause I hear my DraftKings exposure. I am pretty high on him. High on him as much as I was on Loopy last week. And go me, right? It was a great fight from Loopy. But anyways, um, got distracted. But yeah, Kutalaba Span, violent affair, like you said. I didn't go with Kutalaba until the distance like I originally anticipated. I went in there thinking I would, but just too juiced. So is the fight doesn't go to decision, but I still want it. I think that it is a parlay piece supreme because these guys are violent guys, and if they don't finish early, I think that the gas tank wears both of them. I think it's just going to be a violent affair, and I want some action on this fight doesn't go. So it's a parlay piece for me. Minus 400. Sure, it's wide, but give it to me. I do really want to play Elon. Ion inside the distance. I'm not going to get there, though. I have enough exposure on DraftKings to really warrant a bet. I'm going to be overboard if I bet on that as well. So just give me some violence, hopefully on the Ion side, and let's go from there. And speaking of violence, and I did say it was a parlay piece, it's probably the next fight right here. Luis Smolka, 17-8. Davey Grant, 11-6. This is a fun one. This may be my favorite fight in the entire card. Luis Smolka is a guy who I think I bet on a lot recently. I bet on him decently when he got knocked out last time. I know you can rub that in if you want. And there's a guy, Davey Grant, who is probably another guy who I've liked to bet on recently. And 11-6, he's shown some hold, but he looks like he's on this huge run here. And whereas you can't discredit the guys he's fighting, you can't discredit the skills that he's possessing and the knockouts he's getting those knockouts as an underdog. And he's getting those knockouts against guys who he's finding the opening to, and he's able to dispose of quickly. The problem is here, he's not some elite fighter who justifies a 75% minus 300 price tag. He's a guy who's very technical and very powerful, but doesn't excel in any of these areas. The problem I have with this one is, despite Grant not being deserving of this price tag, it's like the win conditions there. Smolka just got knocked out. His chin seems to be a bit diminishing, and Grant's biggest path to victory here is going to be to find that chin with that left hook, like he has many, many times. It just seems so easy for everyone to call that just because of what has happened in recent. And maybe I'm falling trapped to recency bias, but I truly think that Davey Grant's going to put together that combination and find the chin of Luis Smolka. On the other hand, though, Smolka is shown to be able to compete with some good guys on the feet. I think this fight will be pretty close. When you get into the ground, Grant's been sub 4 times. Smolka has a wide arsenal of grappling skills as well. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be violent. Smolka's a killer to be killed fighter, and that's the kind of guy I want to target on DraftKings, especially the fight. And he's someone I'm going to want to have ownership on both sides. Leaning more towards the Grant side because, like I said, I can see that finish materializing. However, I think Smolka is a very, very live dog. But to put it all together, give me some violence. This is the other parlay piece. Both fight doesn't go in the Ion Span fight and the Smolka Grant fight. Put those together. That is a play for me. You with me on some violence here? How you doing?
Yeah, honestly, that you covered everything that I view in the fight. I think that was a great breakdown. I agree. Grant's like a weird guy, man, because I just don't think he's the kind of fighter that justifies a minus 300 price tag. I mean, he's been a dog in like every fight that I've seen. Um, and now he's like minus 300 here. And like he's improved, man. Like I went back and watched his earlier UFC fights, and his striking is much better, much faster. His volume is incredible. He throws big hooks, good leg kicks, good side kicks, good front kicks. I mean, he's improved a lot. I like his game. But I was thinking to bet Smolka going into it just because I knew he was going to be a big dog, and um, his grappling is great. His scrambling ability is good. His transition ability is good, and he can hop on submissions well. And I saw that Grant had been sub 4 times, but I went back and watched, the 4 sub losses of Grant. And the thing with Grant is like also with the Vera fight, like Vera had him in a rear naked choke. Grant fought out of that, super tough guy. And I went back and watched his submission losses, and he puts himself in bad places, which isn't ideal, but it's not like if you get him in a sub, the fight's over. Like the guys had to work for those submissions. Like he was put in deep submissions and he was scrambling. He was scrambling. He wasn't tapping right away. He was transitioning and he almost got out of a couple of them. But, the guys that were subbing him just had it locked in. So I do think that one, Grant has improved his submission defense. And two, I do think that Grant overall isn't that easy of a guy to sub as one that is just looking at the 4 sub losses would think. I think he's a tough guy. He's super scrambly. Um, and I just think that on the feet, like, the biggest thing that's keeping away from Smolka is the speed difference. I mean, I don't know how Smolka fought at flyweight because he is not fast at all. Grant's going to have a pretty big speed advantage here. I do think Smolka probably is the more technical striker, but I don't think that matters. Grant throws bombs. I think Grant. I agree with you. I think Grant's going to find the chin. Smolka had never been knocked out before that last fight, but then he just gets deaded in the first round by Vince Morales, who's
Folded.
folded, literally folded. Who's a guy not known for his power, at least from my point of view. I don't really think he's like this one punch power guy at all. So that's a bit of a question mark, but it's going to be no bet for me. I like your angle on violence. I still might end up on that. I think it's going to be, even if it does somehow go to decision, you're going to have ample opportunities for the fight to finish. Like they're going to be swinging, they're going to be scrambling. There's going to be fight-ending moments here and there. I think it's going to be a great fight, a very entertaining fight. But I think Grant gets it done. I think he's looked great in his last fights. I mean, he looked good against Vera for the first 2 rounds. He looked great against Yanez as well. I just think his striking, his speed is going to be too much here. I think those hooks are going to land. Smolka's striking defense stinks. He's super hittable. And I think Smolka's win condition is, some sort of grappling exchange. But like I said, I mean, Grant's no stranger. It's not like he's like a fish out of water on his back. I think Smolka's better, but I think that Grant can hold his own. And I think when it's standing, I think it's going to be, him landing the bigger shots, him landing more shots. And I think he's going to eventually find the chin. So I like your angle on violence, to be honest. It's a good spot.
Awesome. Well, I hope it happens. I missed out on the early line of the minus 2.5, and I know that was sitting really low, and I got the weaker side of the line, but I still think that it should be priced a bit more expensive. Thank you, Ev, for letting me know my mic volume is better. Is that okay now, Phoenix? Awesome. Okay, just making sure. Look at that technical difficulties these past couple days. Don't worry, we're getting through with it. It's karma. 'Cause I kept making fun of you for it. But anyways, let's keep it rolling. Next fight up, we have Caitlin Chukagian, the GOAT, 17-4. Amanda Ribas, 11-2. The one thing I caught a bit of the weigh-ins, and at the time I was watching, Chuk hadn't weighed in yet. Do you know if she made weight?
Yeah, she made weight.
I think it was only Candelaria who missed, right?
Yeah, I think he made the weight. I think he used the extra
he
hour
came
and came
back?
back. I think so.
Awesome.
I'll double check.
Noted. I appreciate you. But yeah, Caitlin Chukagian. I mean, you can know her for a variety of reasons, for her Twitter being hacked, for her sounds in the octagon, but she's a nice, talented fighter who likes to go out there and win these greasy fights. But she's facing somebody, Amanda Ribas, at 11-2, who's moving up from 115. And if she was a big girl for the weight class, struggling to make weight, I get it. But I don't get it here. Amanda Ribas is a small 115er, and she's going to be an even smaller 125er. 6 inches in height, 6 inches of reach, I believe. Chukagian is someone who's going to use that physicality to her advantage as well. And if she was a striker who's able to get in there, use her speed, sure, it'd be a bit better. But Ribas is someone who depends on the grappling, who depends on the wrestling. And when you're going to be that much smaller than someone, especially someone like Chukagian, who has a good base and who is able to defend off these takedowns, you got to think it's Chukagian all day. She's going to have all the advantage on the feet, and even in the clinch, she's going to be so strong that I don't think Ribas is going to be able to get her down. I think this price tag is way too cheap. I think Chuk should be a lot more favorited. That's a word. I don't know. We're struggling.
Now it is.
Chukagian, though, I think if you put both these fighters at size parity, it'll be a lot closer. But unfortunately, size does matter, my friend. Do you agree with me? What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh yeah. I'm on Chuk. I want to go bigger, to be honest. Like the more that I think about it, like I like if you look at Amanda Ribas, right, in her UFC career so far, she has not beaten a striker. She hasn't. She's beaten Verna Jandiroba. She's beaten Mackenzie Dern. She's beaten Paige Van Zant, Emily Whitmire, and she beat who's the last one? It was another girl, Randa Marcos. All 5 of those girls cannot strike. So yes, Ribas is going to go out there outland them because she's not a terrible striker for a grappler. She's not a great striker, but she's not a terrible striker for a grappler. The one fight that she takes against a striker, she gets clocked. You know, she's kind of chinny. She doesn't react to shots well. And like you said, like she's much smaller. It makes no sense to me. Like the fight itself makes no sense. This is a top 10 strawweight versus a perennial top 3 flyweight. Like if Vivi's not gonna beat Caitlin, then how is Ribas gonna beat Caitlin? Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like Ribas is gonna get absolutely pieced up on the feet. She doesn't defend 1-2s. She got dropped by Jandiroba with a 1-2 in the first round. And if you're getting dropped by one knockout Jandiroba, you probably have an issue. Now you're taking a step up to a bigger girl who's not easy to grapple. Like I don't think anyone should look at the takedown defense of Caitlin's being at 55% or whatever it's at and being like, oh, Ribas can grind out top time here. This is against top level big flyweights, girls like Valentina, like big girls like Andrade, big strong flyweights. I think the only one that's a bit of a red flag is JoJo Calderwood taking her down 3 times, but she was able to work her way back to the feet. She's a brown belt in BJJ. She's not a fish out of water on the mat. Her get up game has gotten significantly better. She attacks submissions to get back to her feet, and like on the feet, like if I don't think it's out of the water to say that Caitlin Chukagian doesn't get taken down here. I think she can probably stuff takedowns. She's much bigger. She's much longer. Her front kick manages distance really well. And if this fight does not hit the mat, Caitlin Chukagian is minus 900. Like she wins the fight like 95% of the time. Like literally. Like the only way for Rivas to go out there and win this fight is for her to get some significant top time, which she's very good grappler. I don't know if her wrestling's great. I mean, her only real takedown that she throws is body lock trip. That's her main takedown. And I have seen her catch a kick, which Caitlin's been taken down multiple times with. So I can't see her potentially getting the fight to the ground, but I don't see her holding her there. I don't see her subbing her there. I think Caitlin will be able to get back up. And Caitlin's going to piece her up at distance. I mean, Ribas has a lot of movement, good footwork, a lot of feints. But the thing with her defense is, like, her hands are low. Like she's going like this. Like she does a lot of like this, but her hands are low. And Caitlin's 1-2 is going to be there all day. Like Marina's 1-2 was there. Basically the second 1-2 she landed put her out. Like I said, Verna dropped her, and it's easy to have a 74% striking defense when you're literally fighting non-strikers. Like she's honestly fought no one that can strike besides Marina Rodriguez. Like Verna Jandiroba cannot fight. And when Ribas was taking over that fight, Verna was exhausted, going backwards, not throwing any offense. Mackenzie Dern striking now is better, but back then Mackenzie Dern, like early Mackenzie Dern striking was terrible. I mean, Paige Van Zant is not striking. Randa Marcos can't strike, and Emily Whitmire can't strike. Like she's gonna have like the only reason that this line is this is if you think that she can get significant top time here, but like you have to understand, like this is a girl at straw, like they're in 2 different weight classes. They're not in the same weight class. Ribas is a top 10 straw weight who just got dropped by Jandiroba, and now you expect her to come in and beat a perennial top 3 flyweight in Caitlin Chukagian, who's on a 3-fight win streak, who's beating, bigger, stronger girls that are trying to take her down. She's getting back up and she's just piecing them up on the feet. I'm not like super high on Caitlin. I don't think Caitlin's like gonna beat Valentina any time ever. But like what she does is she picks off girls that want to try to beat Valentina, girls that haven't got that fight yet. That's what she does. She beats them. She finds ways to win. Even when she doesn't win, she finds ways to win. And talking about it with you now, like I'm probably going to add to it. It's crazy that this line is this close. This was the line for the Maya fight, and size matters. Like she's 6 inches shorter. She's a weight class below. Like it's crazy to me. Talking about it more, she
So
should probably be 80% here. Honestly,
what do you have on this already?
I have 2 units on her money line. Minus 170. I missed the boat. Like she was at like minus 140. Like that's
Yeah, I know.
crazy. It's
I missed
crazy.
it as well. I got 3 on her at minus 175, and I'm not going to add to it because at the end of the day, like it is Caitlin Chukagian after all. The more I think about it, the more that it seems like another play that I could do if I wanted to. And we're just in the middle of this card. Like at the first 3 fights, I got nothing. The main event, I got nothing. But there's like 7 fights in a row where I got bets, and I can just tune in for those. And this is one. I got 3 units on it. Give me that. Caitlin Chukagian is the girl to go to here. Like you said, size matters, unfortunately. But anyways, moving on to the next 3 to play, I have 2 in the same card. Look at me. Usually very conservative better, but I like this spot even better. Frank Camacho, 22-9. Manuel Torres, 12-2. And I'm taking violence. I want violence on this card. I know a lot of people are saying there's going to be a few decisions, but I want violence. And I have like 4 violence bets, this being one of them, this being 3 units. Now, Frank Camacho, Frank the Tank. We have not seen him since he got knocked out by Justin James. How is that loss looking now? Not great. Not great at all. Frank the Crank is a guy who's going to wars, and I will give him credit. He's a very entertaining fighter, but he leaves it all out there on the line. Leaves it all on the line. Facing guy Manuel Torres, who's one of the hardest guys to do tape for. By the way, do you struggle with that as well?
Yeah, I only had 3 fights, and 2 of them were under a minute, and the other one was this Contender Series fight.
So you're getting a guy in Torres who we haven't seen much on, but what we have seen is decent success. Like he looks like he's going to go out there and push a pace. His record shows that as well. And the fights we're not being able to see, we see him getting these finishes and getting these wins. We don't know much about him though. We haven't seen him extended. We haven't seen a lot of things. And when it comes to a pure experience edge, you're going to give it to Frank the Tank. And I get why a lot of people are taking that dog shot on him. The problem is he goes out there and he leaves it all on the line. And in doing so, like Torres is the younger guy. And I think Torres has a decent path to victory here as well. That being said, I think it ends one way or the other. Camacho's going to like leave himself open to being hit, and Torres, if there's one thing he's got, but at least on the fights I've seen in the record, it's a decent pound. I see it finishing, and I like the spot here. Do you agree with me at all, or are you going to stay away from this fight? We can't take that much.
Same play, man. Under 2.5. Yeah, this is a weird fight. I mean, I kind of from the limited tape. I mean, Torres looks decent. I mean, he looks bigger. He looks really tall. I kind of want to wait to see the weigh-ins. To me, he kind of seems like he's gonna be bigger, even though they have the same height. But maybe that's just my eyes deceiving me. But yeah, I think violence is a good spot here. I mean, Manuel Torres is a guy that's been every fight's been finished in the first round except one decision that I don't know what happened. And Frank's a guy who who has 19 out of 22 of his wins inside the distance, has 7 of his 9 losses inside the distance, guy who brings it. And like I'm probably going to end up on Frank too, because Frank realistically, like tape or no tape, really should just be an auto bet. I mean, this is a guy who is at plus money, who's had 7 UFC fights, who has faced very good competition. I mean, all of his losses apart from the last loss against James were against at one point or another top 15 guys in his career. And like he hasn't looked great in the UFC, but he's had UFC experience. He's been a pro much longer. He has been out of the first round a lot more, and he should really realistically be an auto bet. I don't know what's stopping me, but I'm probably going to do it just out of principle. I just feel like if you make these bets over the course of 6 months to a year, you're going to profit in the long term, whether or not they hit it on that specific card or not. But violence, I like a lot. Like I just feel like from what I've seen, Manuel Torres' win condition is the first round. Like if the fight gets extended, I mean, how does he look in the first or second? How does he look in the second round? I mean, usually guys who haven't been to the second round, they get tired, especially when they hit guys and they're still there. I think he'll have success early, but I don't think Frank's chin is that bad, to be honest. I mean, he's hard to put away. Like he's been knocked out a lot, but that dude can take punishment. That dude, he's eaten a lot of shots. The James one was just weird. Like, yes, it sucks. Yes, it ages horribly, but you know what that fight I think told the rest of James's future opponents is this guy's got a good first 2 minutes of a big blitz. He's very dangerous early, and he just came at him. He took it on short notice, and he just ran at him throwing big hooks, and we caught him. Like it happens. Not a good look, but it happens. Um, I just think if the fight gets extended, you have to favor Camacho. Like you have to. Like he's out there being competitive with guys like Drew Dober. Like what, he arguably won that fight. I mean, a lot of media members scored the fight for him. So I think he does a lot of things well. I think he works the body very well, which is big, especially against a guy like Torres, who is a Mexican fighter. I'm going to make the assumption that his chin is very good. That's just what those Mexican fighters bring to the table. But if he's working the body with those body kicks that right straight to the body, you know he could go to work. And this guy, he's got a lot of jiu-jitsu experience. I think he's won a lot of medals in jiu-jitsu tournaments. And he hasn't used it in the UFC, but if he gets one of those, those trips down to the mat, I mean, Torres has been subbed pretty much instantly, on the mat. I mean, he's been subbed. He has 2 first round submission losses. So, maybe Camacho wins by submission here, but I just feel like it's going to be violent. I mean, Torres seems like a guy that really goes for it. He's very high volume, likes to throw some big shots, and I feel like Frank, once he gets back into the ring, he's going to start throwing too. He's a wild man in there, and I think this fight finishes. I was surprised because I wasn't going to bet the fight doesn't go. I wasn't going to bet violence because the doesn't go was at like -300, and that's where I think it should be. But then the under 2.5 is like -175, and I'm like, why is there like a dollar and a bit difference on this line? Like I went back and looked at their records, and there's like no finish in the second half of the third round that would make the disparity between that. So I'm like, okay. I mean, the fight doesn't go should be at least 75-ish, and if anything, take the under should be at least 70, and you're giving me -175. I feel like it's a bet. But yeah, I think Frank's gonna get rather in the second round. I'm assuming that Torres is gonna fade. I mean, I don't know. Like you just don't know. There's no tape on this guy. But if you haven't been in the first round, that means you don't have experience there. That means when things start going, when the guy's still there, when you're hitting him, he's not going away. That's hard for a lot of guys to adjust. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. So give me Frank here. I'll probably be on his money line as well, and hopefully he gets him out of there.
You know what? And the thing too is, it's not just you. Everybody's on Frank, and I get that. I get the durability edge. I get the experience edge. The problem is, if everybody's on him and you want to win that top prize on DraftKings, you got to be different. And what is Manuel Torres' win condition? It's that early knockout. How well does that score? That score is amazing. And if it's going to be at low ownership, you're going to have to take that. I really like Torres this week just because of that. Like I said, that win condition at low ownership. What's going to set you apart. I like that. Maybe it'll look bad in hindsight, but just give me violence and I'll be happy. That's all I want.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving right along. Next fight up, we have Jake Hadley 8-0, Alan Nascimento 18-6. Keep this one brief. Jake Hadley, really good prospect, shown to be okay, decent wrestler, and we'll go for it. Versus Alan Nascimento, a guy who looks to play off his back and have a decent ground game, and who actually impressed me with his submission attempts last time out. It's pretty simple. I don't see Jake Hadley being tough enough to finish Nascimento, and I don't see Nascimento winning any minutes. So Jake Hadley decision, Nascimento sub hedge is what you could do. Or a bet that I'm really close to playing, I haven't done it yet, is the Alan Nascimento inside the distance, finish only, score critical, no action, because I see Nascimento being the only able to get a finish in this fight. His sub game is pretty good. He throws him up all the time, too. And he seems to be tough enough to be able to fend off those submission attempts from Hadley. I think Hadley's just going to grind out for a win. We'll have to see from there. I haven't played it yet. I think I'm going to probably stay off of it, but I do like that here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one's really hard to get a gauge on. It's actually the fight that I'm most excited for on the card. I'm really excited for this matchup. But it's just a fight where like it's so hard to get a read on because like you've got to think that Hadley can land takedowns here. I mean, Nascimento doesn't really stuff takedowns. He knows that he has a good sub game. He knows he can throw up submissions. So you got to expect that Hadley's probably going to be running out a lot of top time here, winning a lot of minutes. Nascimento fighting an active guard. So to me, Hadley could cover just by staying safe, defending the submissions, winning a 15-minute decision. Or you could look stupid laying -2x on, a newcomer against a guy who's actually pretty good, that just subs him because he's so dangerous. It's just a really hard fight to gauge. Like Nascimento is pretty good fighter. I mean, like he went to 2 split decisions with, pretty good guys. I mean, Paiva and Tagir. He actually won one of the fight. He actually won the fight on one of the judges' scorecards from his back. Like that's how active his guard is. Like I don't like guys that play BJJ. Like I don't like guys that just accept bottom position. It's not my style. I don't like that. I like my minute winners. But I mean, like his guard is very active. Like Hadley's a very good grappler. Hadley looks like he's very competent on the mat. His guard is very good too. He attacks submissions. It's just gonna be a grapple heavy fight. Like I think on the feet it's close, competitive. I think both guys have good weapons. I think Hadley's a bit tighter, but I think Nascimento is a bit more dynamic. I think that he can land a bit more wild shots that could land, but you've got to expect Hadley to go for grappling here. But um, I don't know if he's going to get subbed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Nascimento's guard's amazing. He can attack anything. All it takes is one slip up from Hadley and he subs him. So I don't think I'm going to be comfortable playing Hadley at the price tag. Um, it's concerning with a guy that active, but like I don't want to bet on Nascimento either. When I know he's going to be losing minutes, like I don't like guys that just play guard, even if their guard is as good as his. So um, I think it's a very volatile fight. I think it's an awesome fight. And I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one.
I don't blame you at all. Stick to your gut. And I don't want to play it either, but I might play that if I agree. We'll see how tonight goes. We'll see if my Penguins choke, but we'll see if I want to make that money back. Anyways, that rounds up the main card. How are you doing for time?
I'm good for two more. Let's get to the MJ
Two
one.
more. Okay, that's your favorite one. You sick man. Next up, Viviana Rujo, 10-3. Andrea Lee, 13-5. Okay, let's get into this one. This one was 50-50 when I taped it. I took a shot on one side. I'll tell you why I took the shot on Andrea Lee. And that is because Viviana Rujo isn't as trustworthy in my opinion. I think Andrea Lee is more dependable. If you look at their skill sets and say they were created fighters on UFC4 and the same person with the same brain was controlling them, sure, I'm going to take Rujo, right? The problem is Rujo's not going to shoot those takedowns. She's not going to win those minutes. She's not going to be as active on their feet. And even at that, she's not going to win that third round. So if I'm Andrea Lee, I think that she has to be active enough to win one of the first two rounds. She wins the fight because Rujo's cardio is not going to hold up, in my opinion. I think Andrea Lee has fought better competition. I think she's a better weapons on the feet in terms of durability, range, activeness, and just hitting the target. And I think that Rujo's not going to justify anything if she doesn't shoot a takedown. And I can't trust her to shoot one. So for that reason, I'm taking Andrea Lee. Not a fighter I'm targeting DraftKings, but betting wise, I'm taking Andrea Lee, and I'm taking her to win by decision. Moneyline minus 110, simple unit, just because I feel like I have to. I line Andrea Lee around minus 140, just because of how inconsistent Rujo is. I'm just going to hope you agree with me. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Andrea Lee could arguably be on a 12-fight winning streak right now. I like Andrea Lee. I think Andrea Lee's solid fighter, solid process. She probably wins round 3 at a pretty high clip. I agree with what you said for the most part. Think she's a bit more reliable. Think it is going to be a pretty close fight nonetheless, but I mean, I'd rather bank on the fighter that's pretty much, going to win one of the rounds at a pretty high clip. I mean, if Araujo comes out here and wrestles, she's definitely going to lose the third round. She doesn't have the gas to do that. So, Andrea Lee, she's a good boxer, good kicks. I like her game. I like her game a lot. I think she's got some upside. And this is a pretty big fight for this division. I think whoever wins this fight is going to take a big step. Going to take a big step closer to maybe a title eliminator fight. I mean, Andrea Lee literally melted Calvillo last time, like absolutely melted. So I think she's running with a lot of momentum here. I think she's solid. And yeah, I agree with what you said. I like your shot on her at evens.
Awesome. Let's not waste any more time because you got your fight of the night coming up next. And let me just say, by addressing the fact that the Plays and Fades YouTube channel does not condone any gambling on this next fight. This is Blue Betcha, the man, the myth, the legend himself, this is his Yambags fight. And you know what? I want to play it too. I don't know what the Yambags are. This is a point deduction fight or a draw or just a mess of a fight. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. You're going to take over. You're going to take charge. Tell the world what's going on in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Johnson's going to
actually
kill this man. Oh, yeah, you go.
And let me just preface by saying this is no one's had the balls to talk about this fight. So stand your ground. I don't have the balls to talk about this fight. This is as uncertain as having Louis Dominguez for hockey fans tonight. But let's get going.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Johnson's going to absolutely kill this man on Saturday. Say what you want. Say about how he's unreliable. Scared money don't make money. Michael Johnson's going to cash it in. I mean, Patrick just sucks, realistically. Michael Johnson, literally this whole line is just predicated around the fact that Michael Johnson is untrustworthy. Like, that's the only reason that this line is not minus 250, minus 300. I mean, like, if Michael Johnson finds a way to lose this fight, man, I don't even know, I just can't see it. Like Patrick presents absolutely no actual danger. He's not a finisher. He can't strike. Like, he throws, like, I can see it. Like, he's gonna throw some absolute wild spinning elbow, jumping cartwheel kick and just KO Michael Johnson. Like, but like, I just don't like Michael Johnson at -145. Like, all he has to do is not. All he has to do is just fight normally, and like he covers and he wins.
Just
Like,
not pull a Michael Johnson.
just, just not pull a Michael Johnson. That's all he's got to do. Like, just stylistically, if you look at the fight, like, I don't see how he loses. Like, unless he pulls a Michael Johnson. Like, stylistically, he I don't see how he loses. I mean, Patrick's not going to take this guy down. Like, if I don't see it happening, Michael Johnson, very good takedown defense, good wrestling background, and on the feet, like Michael Johnson, he's a good striker, man. Like, good feints, good footwork, good jab, good straight, good kicks. Like, I think he's gonna be the guy going forward for the most part. Patrick has pretty bad cardio. Patrick looked terrible at the weigh-ins. Um, Michael Johnson looked good at the weigh-ins, and like, for as much as we're talking about like Michael Johnsoning, like Patrick is a meme in himself. Like, Patrick sucks, man. Like, Patrick, if you look at his UFC career, he beats guys that can't stuff takedowns, and he loses to anybody that stuffs takedowns. Anybody that stuffs takedowns beats Alan Patrick. Anybody, literally. Like, anyone that the guys he's losing to are guys that stuff the takedowns, piece him up on the feet, and the guys he's beating are guys he can control on the mat. I mean, he's the older guy. He's not good at anything. He doesn't have a good sub game. Doesn't have power. Um, like, Michael Johnson is just so much better than this guy. Like, he's so much better than this guy. I understand. Like, I'm not backing away, man. Michael Johnson is gonna win this fight. Michael Johnson is gonna come in. He's gonna prove everyone wrong that he's not an untrustworthy fighter, and he's gonna finish Alan Patrick while only absorbing under 10 significant strikes.
You know what? Somewhere out there, there's some innocent soul who's just browsing on YouTube, presses this video, listens to your take, and when Michael Johnson loses with 10 seconds left in the third round, I'm getting unsubscribed to.
He's winning.
Yeah, I believe it. And the thing is, like, I did my research, and 99% of the time, Michael Johnson is a better fighter. A lot of these fights, the man knocked out Dustin Poirier. Come on, but you can't trust him to do anything. And I think that I was talking this over with the co-host of Plays and Fades, and I decided to do something really dumb, and I bet on this fight too. I didn't take a stand like you did, but I'm like, all right, give me some violence. Right? You look at it this way, and you're giving me plus money on a fight between a guy who's significantly better versus, on a guy who's older, has been finished, not that good, sucks, versus a guy who is the biggest choke artist in UFC history. Oh, come on, you got to sprinkle a little bit on that. Like, don't, unless you're as confident as people, like, don't bet this
Bet him.
fight.
Bet him.
I can't. I can't
Condone it.
I can't condone it. I can't. This is tough. And you know what? Like, is Michael Johnson gonna make it to my Hail Mary sprinkle? Like, if I had to, like, gun to my head, had to pick a fighter, yeah, I'm gonna pick Michael Johnson. But who's most likely to get me killed if there was a gun to my head? I had to pick a fighter.
Michael
It's gonna be Michael Johnson. All right. Who's most likely to pull a hammy with 10 seconds left in the third round? Who's most likely to go, like? I respect the guy, I like his skill set, but come on, like, it's tough. It is tough world for him. And you know what? Best case scenario, Michael Johnson goes out there, knocks him out in a round, and looks great. And then he's minus 500 next time out and slips out a banana peel. That's a perfect world. And I hope it happens for you. All right. I appreciate your thoughts on that one. I'm definitely not on the same side as you. What I'm going to do, though, is I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go. Before you do, plug where they can find you so they can yell at you when Michael Johnson chokes. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Phoenix_MMA. Posting this week has been very busy, so I haven't posted all my bet breakdowns, but I did post my Michael Johnson breakdown. Go give that a like. You can thank me in the comments when Michael Johnson looks minus 1,000 in there. And everybody doesn't cash on him because they were scared that Michael Johnson's gonna Michael Johnson. At the end of the day, Michael Johnson is gonna catch a body. Michael Johnson is going to go in there. I'm not going to be
Yeah,
nervous
either his
for 1
own.
second of that fight. No, I'm not going to be nervous for 1 second of that fight. I'm going to be calm. Michael Johnson, going to bang, bang, jab him up, finish him, take the money to the bank. That's where you can find me. And I'll be there to tag you once Michael Johnson looks minus 900.
I'm not saying Michael Johnson doesn't win. I'm just saying that there's no way that Alan Patrick loses. Sorry, there's no way that this is a fight between Michael Johnson and Michael Johnson himself. Like it's him versus himself. Like he's not facing much resistance. It's like yeah, that's all I'm saying. All we know that Michael Johnson can come out there, get reversed, and be late on 15 minutes. All I know is that I'm wishing the best of luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
I think if there's any fight where you need it, it might be this one. Yeah, I appreciate you for tuning in for the first few fights, and enjoy the rest of your night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Appreciate that, buddy. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and yeah, thanks for having me. See you. Good luck on your best this weekend. Enjoy the fights, and let's keep the win streak going.
Of course, my man. Have a good one. Awesome. There I am. Look at me, myself, and I. All right, let's break down these final 3 cards. Before I do so, everybody who's tuning in, who's liking the fight so far, make sure to leave a like down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're breaking these down every single week. Let's not waste any more time. 3 fights left. First up, Verna Jandiroba, 17-3. Angela Hill, 13-11. If you guys have followed me for a while, you know that Angela Hill is just not my favorite fighter. Like she's doesn't do anything spectacularly, but she has a good, well-rounded game. So I respect her. Again, anybody who gets in the cage can beat me up pretty easily. But I'm not a big fan of her skill set. What I will say is every second this fight is going to be on the feet, she is going to be a live underdog to win this fight. And I think that she is very live to the win in general. The problem is any second it goes to the ground, Jandiroba is just a killer. She's a killer. I mean, she looks like Rob Schneider, but she's a killer. Great ground game, good takedowns to get it there. And she looked like she's been improved on the feet, but not enough for me to want to back her here. Angela Hill has the cardio advantage. Angela Hill has the minute winning advantage. I think she has decent takedown defense as well. So what is Verna Jandiroba's win condition? Verna Jandiroba's win condition is a submission. And that's it. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe a decision if she gets her down all the time, but I don't see her winning minutes on the feet. And for that reason, I have a half a unit bet on Verna Jandiroba to win by submission. That's her win equity. That's how she wins. And I'm not going to waste much time on that one because Angela Hill has good takedown defense. She has the range. She has a striking advantage. But probably in the same fashion the MJ fight before this, Angela Hill is most likely to lose a split decision as well. I think that when it comes to striking, it's Hill, and on the ground is Verna. I'm not going to waste much time. That's how it is. That is how I'm breaking that one down. Next up, Carlos Candelario, 8-1. Tatsuro Tara, 10-0. This fight was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago. This is the fight that got canceled while I was on a plane, and I lost a lot of money to DraftKings for it. But anyways, regardless, I was on Candelario then. Can I be on him again? If I had to pick a fighter who's going to win this fight, I'm going to pick Tara. I think that his back takes, his ground game is very, very good. The problem I have is Tara's not a guy who wins minutes. He's a guy who does one thing well, and he does it really well. And he's shown that against a bunch of guys in the regional scene who aren't that good. And he's getting a step up. He's getting a better test than Carlos Candelario. And Carlos Candelario is a guy who's had not many good opponents in his own right, but he's shown that he can win fights various ways. On the feet, it's going to be Carlos all day. Minute winning, it's going to be Carlos. But the second that any clinch exchange happens and you're betting Carlos Candelario, you're holding your breath. Because that is Tara's win condition again. It's him taking his back. It's him being able to slatch up a limb. It's him being able to ride out top control here. It's a fight I want no part of because these are guys who I'm not able to get a good read on because they're not facing that good competition. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy and just take notes on how these guys fight. I will have Carlos Candelario on DraftKings because he is a very, very cheap dog. And at that same time, like, he has a path to victory, and that's just keeping it at range. That being said, though, I think it's going to be fun. I'm really excited to see it go down, but I'm not confident enough in this fight to get a bet on it. Sit back, relax, and for some fun, right? Second fight of the night. And it's coming after a banger. First fight of the night, Nick Maximoff, 8-0. Andre Petrosky, 7-1. Petrosky coming off the All-Star fighter, looked like an absolute beast, and then gets defeated in the first round there. Nick Maximoff, Nick Diaz prospect. Um, and what you have is just a clash of wrestlers. Two wrestlers with one big difference. Maximoff has a gas tank. That's it. That's all it is. Nick Maximoff and Andre Petrosky are two guys with insane wrestling capabilities, and that's their tendency to go out there and take people down. Power wise, it's Petrosky. Durability wise, it's Maximoff. I don't think this fight's gonna stay on the feet for that long. Usually, when you get these two wrestlers, they tend to stay on the feet because they don't want to go in each other's games. But these guys just pursue these takedowns so actively. I see it going there. Um, this line's super, super wide. I think Petrosky has a chance to win this fight. I think he's the more powerful fighter. I think he has the ability to win the first couple rounds. The problem is when it gets to round 3, his cardio falls off a cliff, and especially he's gonna be wrestling for this long. I don't think it'd be that hard for Maxwell to put him away. I think that I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it's almost like a must bet to have maybe even a tenth of a unit, 0.1 units on Nick Maximoff round 3 because that's probably a large win condition. Petrosky's a powerful guy in those first 2 rounds, but I think Maxwell will be able to get it out there. They're also sending him this message, going from co-main event to opening up the entire card of you're boring. I think Maxwell wants that finish. I think he gets us in the 3rd round. I think it's gonna be a fun fight though. It's only on the card. I'm hoping for some violence. Maximoff round 3 is a prediction, but Petrovsky definitely a live dog, especially with that takedown upside and being a more powerful fighter. But that's going to do it for the UFC Vegas 54 breakdown. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I think it's going to be a decent card. I have a lot more exposure than I expected, but I think it's going to be fun. Right? That's what you're training for. You want to fight, it's going to be fun. Fight night, it's going to be fun. And I think there's definitely some really good fights going unnoticed there. And I'm looking forward to them. If you guys have any questions, make sure to check me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. I'll answer any question in the DM. And now's the time. Check out that DFS video. Check out what I'm saying. Check out what I'm playing on DraftKings. Coming off a take on the Ironman last week, coming off a few hot weeks betting-wise. Now's the time to get involved. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're checking out that DraftKings video because it's fun. I make sure to put a lot of effort into it. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, here's announcement time. From now on, the rest of the summer, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to be featuring a brand new show for me. I'm going to be featuring a new show every Wednesday night. So keep an eye out for an announcement for there. So Wednesday night live stream. I will have the DFS video out every Thursday. And then I'll have this live stream every Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's content for you guys all the time. Additionally, current MMA best bets video will also be around the Thursday time frame. There's a lot of content. I'm working hard on putting in that effort for you guys. So please show your support. Subscribe to the channel, show some love, check me out on Twitter, like the video as well. Everything I do is for you guys to make some money. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. And that's going to do it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, best of luck to all your bets. Enjoy the card. Go Pens. If they lose tonight because Crosby's out, make sure to check up on me on the DMs because I won't be doing too well. My hopes are low. As Lou Betcha and I would say, I'm hedging my happiness out betting the Rangers. But UFC-wise, enjoy the card tomorrow. Have some fun with it. If you guys have more questions, let me know on Twitter. But that's going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and let's make some money, guys.